I'm Patrick DePeters, and I am your host for Quiet Leaders Podcast. Today, I have a special guest. It is a man that I've known and grew up with in Woodbury, Connecticut, and we went to high school together at the Frederick Gun School, formerly the Gunnery. And Cameron Ahouse is a terrific person all around. He's got a wicked sense of humor. He's got a real connection to the work he does, but also to his family, to his friends, to his community, and a lot more. He's passionate about not just fitness and not just in his professional work as a marketer, but he's also passionate about things like mental health, especially for men's groups, which is something that is really terrific to see and something I want to hear more about because I think it's the kind of thing that a lot of people could benefit from hearing, seeing someone as awesome as Cameron lean into that kind of environment. So we're going to have a fun conversation today. I'm super happy to have my buddy for many years now. It's got to be 20 some odd years. I'd like to welcome Cameron Ahouse to the show.
Thanks, man. And yeah, wow. Yeah, 20 years. I think I was 14 when we got, so I'm coming up on 22 years.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think you were. Yeah, so I was a little bit older. I was probably 15, but before we started chatting, we were saying we went to a kind of a Harry Potter school at the Gunnery then, and wearing the jacket and tie, and all the relationships were more or less new. I had a couple people that I went to school with from St. Margaret's that were there, but by and large, Cameron was a new relationship, and we just hit it off. And we also lived about 5 minutes from each other, so that made it even more fun to be able to spend a ton of time. But why don't you take us back, Cameron, to growing up in Woodbury, Connecticut, or is that where you were born, by the way?
No, I was originally from Andover, Mass.
That's right. Okay.
I moved to Connecticut when I was 10.
What brought your family to Connecticut?
My dad got let go from his job, so he ended up working at SML, which is a semiconductor company. Like, they're pretty big now. He's retired. And yeah, I was really upset about it. I was really outgoing at the time. And then we moved to a shell, but eventually grew out of that. We moved to a beautiful neighborhood, new development. Now it's 30 years old, but yeah, cul-de-sac, the picket white fence, like the picture perfect American. And yeah, I grew up in a town where it was, and just leads like why Gunnery became in the equation was my sister. So I'm one of four. The older sister went to Gunnery, and I wanted to, came out of my shell, grew out of that. However, that wasn't immediate, and it's still something that I struggle with because I am very introverted. But I started playing football. And, my dad played football in college, and I remember. And listen, my mom was half black, and I don't really show it, but definitely tan, and like get really tan. The N-word in middle school. And so on, and I was like, forget this. So I started looking at Holy Cross, which was a Catholic school, and the Gunnery and Taft.
Yes, you are.
So I got into the Gunnery, and it ended up being by the best decision in my life was me ending up the Gunnery. And I wanted to play football. My high school didn't have it. At the time, I couldn't go to another town to play football. Didn't want to be around like the community that was in Woodbury, it's a small town. And at the time, it was like 8,000 people. And went to the Gunnery, played football, had a great experience. But I think that a lot of people may look at prep school and think that you may be entitled or it's like just for people that are rich. That wasn't my family. But what I think that people don't or underestimate is the family's orientation or family community that you get in prep school because you're there all the time. And I was a day student, so I didn't live there. So it was like 80% of the kids lived there, 20% were day students. But there was no locker. Like, you keep your stuff and all your belongings in someone's room, in a friend's room. And
Which friend were you in freshman year? I know the answer, but where did you keep your stuff freshman year?
in Dakota.
Yes. Yeah, amazing.
But yeah, it's super small. And I try to explain to my fiance as well. Like, she went to public school. The sense of community and the sense of everyone, for the most part, there's still cliques and everything, but like the teachers care about you. You're with them all the time. And that ended up being extremely important for me. When my sophomore year, when my mom passed, I really don't think I would have had that same support if I went to Nonawag, the public high school. Everyone coming out for her service, just the support that I had. And the support also like financially helping out my family. It's hard to measure like how much that helped us and helped me. And Gunnery is still like a school that I donate to. I don't do that for my college.
Well,
I know a lot of people don't always do that, but Gunnery holds a really special place in my heart. Got to meet a lot of incredible people. You're also around just a ton of different people. There are so many foreign exchange students there. from all over the world, different demographics, socioeconomically, just geographically, that you're exposed to. And you're usually not exposed to that until you get to college. School provides this great community and family center, and also just the ability to meet people that you normally wouldn't run into until later in life. And usually it'll only be like you're moving to a city. You really get a lot of benefits outside of it just being like more prestigious, and like people may think it's easier to get into a college because of a lot of things that translate well into the real world.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think before we started recording, I mentioned I recently visited the Gunnery, first time in some 15 years. And I was just, the longer it's been since I've been on that campus as a student with you and all our friends, the more I appreciate it, because it's so rare, right? There's so many amazing people there. There's a lot of history there. This probably wouldn't surprise you. Washington, Connecticut to this day does not have cell phone service.
It's the cell phone down.
Yeah, they're so against it. They're like, but I love that because it's like, it's a utopia. It's like a utopia. And I think kids need as much of that kind of environment as possible, because the world is tough. The world can be hard. You could drive 20 minutes away to some of the cities in Connecticut and you'll see some things that are the same kinds of things in a lot of places, which are like, they don't have that kind of support, those kind of resources. So when you mentioned feeling, not just feeling, but being called names, pejorative, very pejorative and deeply insulting and harmful words because of your race. You're quarter F black, right? Okay.
Right.
So what was that like then, coming to the Gunnery and having that diverse student body? And I don't know, I would love to hear whether or not you felt very different there.
I felt out of place at the Gunnery, not because of any race or like how I look then. I think it's because I went in with the misconception that everybody there, like, so much money, they're going to be so stuck up. And this is a time it was like, I remember Birkin socks were huge. I think it was more just, I grew up, like, Woodbury's a pretty farm town, and it's only a town over or 2 towns over where we went to high school. I just remember going there and just being like, I don't look like these other people because I felt so uncomfortable wearing the attire that we had to wear. That was my big
thing. Interesting.
And so I just remember being so, like, self-conscious. Yeah, I felt really out of place, and it wasn't until we come from you and Dakota, and that was big when Halo was out, and
yeah,
and because I didn't really have that at my middle school. Like, I had some friends got me up in the bathroom, and
wow, at the Gunnery it was.
No, in middle school.
Okay, no, I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that.
But none.
That's horrible.
Yeah, there are a ton of reasons why, like, staying in Woodbury and going to public school was not the best. But when I think that being exposed to all the people that I was exposed to at the Gunnery, what it allowed me to do is, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, be like a chameleon and being able to adjust and blend myself in, like, a positive way into different groups of people. And so it can be difficult for me to find a group of people where I feel uncomfortable being around them and feel like I can't find a way to fit in, and like where I won't be able to like be able to have conversations with them or understand where they're coming from. Those situations are rare, but I think that being around all those people at the Gunnery definitely helped me with that, because again, you're around so many different types of people, which I think is absolutely phenomenal, because that's going to happen in the real world. Go like public, like very white public school. You're not that.
Yeah, I totally agree. You were a tour guide, right?
Yep, I was a tour guide.
You're reporting to me. I was a head tour guide. But I really loved being a tour guide, actually, because it does require that you be yourself and that you connect to both the parents and the student who's nervous, probably like both you and I were when we did our tour. And they might have an interest that you could talk to them about. I got the head tour guide award. And I think it was just because I just loved it. I loved connecting with these people. It wasn't like, where I'd walk around and only appeal to the parents. I'd be like, yeah, like this dorm, we have a ton of fun. We have a ton of fun in this dorm. And so the kid would be like really excited about that. And we would tell the parents, walk a little bit behind and then a little bit more of a private chat with the student. And you can really connect with them. And I think that actually also, as you just said, was probably the most valuable thing I got from the Gunnery. I would say it's like up there. It's up there. Yeah, because like last night, I'm meeting people at this new social club thing I joined. I've just been meeting some amazing people from all walks of life, and I can connect. As you said, you can connect because you are not focused on the title or how they look or the amount of money in their wallet or whatever. They're all people, and that you actually have, I think part of this project, actually, the Quiet Leaders Project, is showcasing that we have a lot more in common than I think people you normally think. So what was that, if you don't mind saying, what was that support like then? Because I do remember the tragedy of your mom passing away. You're 15, something like that, sophomore year, and that being something I just really can't imagine. And I know how difficult that was. And you've got a younger sister, you have some older siblings too, but you had a lot on your shoulders during that time, right?
Yeah.
And so what was the support system like for you? And who, you don't have to say necessary names, but yeah, what was that like?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like specific names. I can't. It was more just like the school in general. And there's also so my sister went to Rumsey, which is, I don't know, it's like a sister school, but younger. So it's basically, I think it's kindergarten, whatever, first grade up to ninth grade. So a lot of kids come from that school and go to the Gunnery or other prep schools. Financially, they helped us out, helped out my sister when she was at Rumsey, and while I was also at Gunnery. So that helped out my dad a ton. I just remember just being able to, it's really hard to think of like specific situations. I just remember being like able to hang out, teachers being kind,
Mm,
lending an ear if I need to say something. But what's also difficult is that there's always certain situations my sophomore year that I remember, and there's a lot like the spring of sophomore year outside of like some lacrosse. I don't remember at all. I remember two football scenarios, visiting her in the hospital, her service when I found out she died, and then playing like a little bit of like varsity lacrosse. But outside of that, I don't remember much. And then one other thing I remember is hopefully this doesn't get you in trouble, having my first beer.
No, it's it with me.
At your house.
You bought it. I don't know what you're talking about. That's incredible. That is very fun. Hey, you gotta get everyone in trouble here. No, kids are kids, right? So that is hilarious because you were a pretty straight-laced kid, I would say, right? Like you were an athlete, you were focused on taking all that seriously, and you were just my family adored you.
I think your family was like a second family at the time.
Would you be open to sharing a little bit about your relationship with your parents and specifically your mom as well?
Absolutely. It's also, I would say, like smiling because if you asked me probably 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh, it's weird. I don't want to talk about it. My dad, he was right to the family, was a coach, went to football growing up. And then my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and then she ended up working at Rumsey my freshman year because it was basically like she was going to work to pay for me to go to high school. And she was like my best friend. So she was diagnosed in June, I believe, May or June of 2003, and then passed December of. So it was really quick. But yeah, my mom was like my best friend, could make all the jokes, tell her everything. And my dad was very much, I knew he loved me. The first time I remember him saying he loved me when I was 15 and he told me she was sick. But he was very hands off, and she was very much the opposite. And he can get along with people, but he can be intimidating. While my mom is very outgoing and more of the extrovert and the one making the plans with for family stuff and with friends. So I was I was upset. Obviously, when I found out she was sick, and then when she passed, it was a weird dynamic. My dad and I would get into a lot of fights, not physical, but just I was always a good kid. And even at the past, if I was going somewhere to a party, I would either tell him like he needs to pick me up, or I would just stay there. Like I was going to go drive around drinking. Or if I said I was going to be home at a certain time, like I made sure I was home at a certain time. But it was really tough because I think because he had to take on the role of her. So my dad, I think it was really difficult for my dad because he had to take on the role of both parents. And from his previous marriage, he didn't take on the role of mother and at all. And now he had to do that for my sister and I. So it was extremely hard on him and difficult for him. And he has changed. He has grown. He has been more loving, more verbally showing or sharing how he feels about us. But how you should remember when she died. And like, I was just so mad. And I was like, I said it to him. Like, I wish they could switch places. Like, that's how I felt. Because it just sucks so much. Because I did not have the best relationship with him growing up. It was all about her. And also, like, my sister, Haley, like, needed a mom, not go through all this stuff that women go through. Two guys who don't understand it and honestly didn't try to understand it. And so that was extremely unfair for her. So yeah, two very different relationships with my parents. My relationship with my dad will never be like it was with my mom. My relationship with my dad will never be like with my mom, but it has gotten better. And so that's important. And you know, it's 81 now. So there's a big age gap with my parents. But yeah, so I hope he lives another 15 years or more. Nothing's guaranteed. So yeah, different relationship with my parents. I don't know if I would be here I don't know if I would have done the New York thing after college. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be in Boston. I don't think I would be. I think my life would be different if my mom was alive, but yeah, I don't know. And also losing her, I know you just asked relationships, but like losing her like changes my perspective on deaths of relatives or just people in general. It can be difficult for me to understand when somebody says, "Oh, my grandma died," and I'm like, "This is not really harsh way of saying it, but that's the order. Like they're supposed to. You always, the parent always wants to pass before the children." And so that was just from my mom's side, like it was the opposite way. She passed before me and she passed before her mom. Like people say that about like pets and stuff, and I'm like, but it's not like a person. Those people or those animals can hold special places in people's heart, but it has like a cold in general, like to death. And I don't know what the right word is, nonchalant, but I don't know what the word is, muted.
I appreciate you sharing that. If you're going to say something like muted or nonchalant, is there certain deaths that, let's say someone loses a parent that you talk to that is not that kind of feeling, or is it actually death altogether that is just is very difficult for you to allow yourself to get to that space, probably where you didn't remember 2/3 or whatever of your sophomore year?
Yeah.
So is that part of it?
I think I'm not very, I don't think I'm very empathetic. Whenever someone loses a sibling or parent, I can sympathize with that. And I've lost all my grandparents. I've lost aunts and uncles. But for me, I just feel like in a hierarchy, like there's a difference. But it may not be that people have different relationships with their non-immediate family.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like everyone reacts differently. Like some people at the age of 35 lose their parent, and what they're going through in life is so much different than what I was going through at 50. And so some people are like, "Oh, you must get it." And I'm like, "Yes, I get that. That is such a shitty scenario. They can't then talk to that relative again. But also, what they're going through in life is
Georgie's uncle runs a charity in the U.S. It's based in L.A., but they're nationwide, called Teen Cancer America. And he ran that same charity in the U.K. for 10, more than that, maybe 15 years, and then in the U.S. now for the last 10 years. But that charity is dedicated to filling the space that I think you're testifying to, the impact of being at a certain time in your life where you're not a kid, like a little kid, and you're also not an adult. You're a teenager, right? I think people are you're starting to figure out like your own personality, your own interests, your own kind of independence, having a beer with me undercover. And I don't know anything about the beer. It was non-alcoholic. So,
Bush Light non-alcoholic.
The reason I brought up the teen cancer thing is that for a pediatric oncology or adult oncology, where if you're 16 and going through cancer, you're not like, you could be in a hospital room where on the other side of the curtain is someone who's 3 and they bring in crayons. If you're 16 years old, you want to be at prom, right? You want to be going to the movies with your friends. You want to play sports, probably, and any number of things. You want to be in the theater and, pursue your passion, to travel, go to summer camp, all these things. So their organization is all about meeting people where they're at in that space, but then to also connect them with other people that are going through the same thing. And they have some other groups that they work with in the same, it's not Teen Cancer. Well, actually, I think Teen Cancer America also has some programming that supports the family because they're going through it too. And the person I was actually meeting at the coffee shop, that was where I met the Rumsey kid, the Princeton star athlete. Her brother died from cancer. And she was telling me about, there were these like camps that she would get brought to that were for the siblings of people that passed away from cancer. And she said it was like, I'm paying it forward every day of my life because I needed that more than anything. So sophomore year, you're getting through. I remember all the things you mentioned in terms of, I was never on the football team. I'm not big enough, but I was playing soccer and stuff, but you were always like the star football player. And what position did you play again?
Oh, you're a receiver.
That's right. You're a stud. So what did football do for you? You grew up playing football and then you get to prep school where it's pretty good programs, right? Like you get some real athletes that are like doing PG years and but what was that experience for you? As you mentioned at Muhlenberg, we'll get to later, but at Gunnery, what was that like?
Honestly, it was great. So I grew up a lot physically in high school. I think I was 100 pounds freshman year, 45 sophomore year, that I started on varsity. And then I was like 164, 185. But what's difficult about
when did the juice start? Because I remember for our listeners, Cameron Ahouse would be doing. You came down to Florida with me at spring break one year. You would be doing not just regular push-ups, which were like you do 600 of them, but then you'd be doing you were doing CrossFit, like strict upside down push-ups when you were like 15.
Yeah.
I don't know when CrossFit was founded, but you were way ahead of the game. So we'd be like in the hotel room playing Monopoly, and you'd be like, "Hold on one second, flip upside down." Like,
Yeah.
and so
Fight.
yeah, we'd fight. And then the thing is, I've been talking a lot about how Johnny was a beanstalk. He was lanky for a little while. He grew fast, and there was a time when we would be, I don't know if bullying's the right word, but certainly close to that, just roughhousing and all that. But then I had to change my politics because he grew. He was bigger than me. When I was like 14, he was about 10. He hit a growth spurt, and I was like, I got to change my politics. This guy's big. And I got you, and I got Dakota. And Dakota, for our listeners, is like a really awesome guy. But he was a lineman, right?
Yeah. He was a guy.
Oh yeah, there's no way he was doing anything other than beasting up the line. This guy was maybe at 16. He was probably what, 200 pounds?
I feel like he was like 250. He was huge.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I didn't want to say it, but I think you are right. He was 250. So like when we would roughhouse in the dorms and stuff, Dakota, we played these games that like we would try to provoke Dakota to get pissed, and then he would just like, sit on our face. Some of the best memories ever, and I have a lot of pictures from that I've been sending you. But you football guys don't mess around. So you're playing football. You're starting to really be. Did you start? So you made varsity, obviously, freshman year as well.
No, sophomore.
Okay, sophomore you made varsity. And then was that the first year you got like a lot of time and you were like that kind of breakout experience, or was it still like you were still in the process of putting on size, and maybe were any of those positions new compared to what you did growing up?
No, receiver was, but no, sophomore year was I started on defense, so it was corner. But what's difficult or what's interesting about prep school is that you have post grad, so PGs. Are somebody that graduates high school, say public school, and then they come back for 1 year after. So really, they should be freshmen in college.
Yeah, they're like 19, sometimes 20. Some of the guys are like 20.
19, 20 years old, and I'm 50 to go against them, so it's terrifying. Football taught me a lot. And I think I learned more in college than high school, and just like about football. Yes, it's such a different game, but just about like the work that you need to put in. And I always wondered why people thought, and they look at resumes and they're like, oh, they played 4 years of soccer, whatever it was. What's so impressive about that is how much like you learn about being part of a team, and especially with football, because you're so reliant on everybody else.
Love that.
How much people are going to be relying on you, and how you need to make sure that you're putting in the work. So like going into my freshman year of college, like I was like, I'm going to start. And I would wake up, do landscaping all day, go to the gym after, and then go do hill sprints.
Wow.
Then go home. And I was on like repeat throughout the summer.
Did you do landscaping with me? Did you? I can't remember.
No, I did it with, I think his name was like Chris Holt in Woodbury.
Okay. I was bouncing around the mowers too, and then Woodbury. Like, I actually loved it, but in any case, that's amazing. Like Johnny used to have the parachute thing. He'd put a parachute behind him and did the wind sprints in our backyard, up the hill, down the hill. It's like the guy was becoming a machine. You were doing the same thing.
Yeah, I loved it. My dad always supported me with whatever I wanted to do. If I wanted to go and play the piano professionally, like he would support that.
Amazing.
He never pushed me. And I always felt that out of all my siblings, like maybe it's not true, but I feel like I'm the least athletic. Actually, the size was less athletic than me.
I have a hard time believing that, by the way, but say more because I want to know. Because I remember, I think your older brother, right, was like an Olympian or something like that.
The oldest one, he was on like USA's flag football team.
Oh, that's incredible.
Zero training and went and ran like a 3:30 marathon.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Kaylee, my younger sister, way more athletic than me.
Like field hockey, right? She field hockey in lacrosse and stuff like that.
She did field hockey and softball.
Oh, softball. Yeah, she was really good at softball.
She played for 1 year in college, but I'm the only one that played like throughout college. And I just had to work my ass off. Like I went into college as a receiver. They moved me to defense. Now I'm going to start. And so I started all 4 years. Individually had a great career. And also sophomore year, we went first time undefeated in school history.
Wow. That's phenomenal. And Muhlenberg's an old school, right? How old is Muhlenberg?
I don't know. Football team, I think it was like their 110th year. And we were.
Wow.
They have since done that. And now Muhlenberg is now a powerhouse for D3.
You got to send me stuff on them because I want to check it out. Do you know the story of Roger Bannister? He's the first one to break.
Oh, the 4-minute mile.
The 4-minute mile. You know that story? So for people who don't know, Roger Bannister was the first one to break the 4-minute mile. Within maybe months, certainly within a year or two, dozens of people were able to do it. So what's so amazing about what you're saying is like this, you guys proved you can go undefeated. This could be a powerhouse program. And now everyone else in the locker room is getting recruited into that. And they're like, yeah, we got to do it too. Like we can do it. Gunnery hockey had some ups and downs, but there's a big tradition there. And now all of a sudden they're like one of the top 5 prep school hockey in the country. A little school, but you get these kids that are like 19, they're going to play in the NHL.
Right.
It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible to see. So sophomore year, you're really working hard. What's your relationship with your teammates and your coaches like?
It was good. I definitely had like sophomores. You're talking about college?
Yeah, just did you have a coach that was like hard on you and then one that kind of was building you up? Or what was it? Tell me about all the dynamics on the program for you.
Also, I'm not thinking remember numbers well. Where people ask memories about like, they're like, oh, this happened in this game. And I think some of you are good at that. I'm terrible at that.
Okay.
So these things you have to really think about it. But the head coach was definitely tough on me. He has since passed. He was really tough on me. He was a defensive back coach, so I was always with him. So he made me better. I think he saw potential in me that I didn't or wasn't ready to push myself to go to. Well, listen, I'm not playing at University of Florida, right? We're playing, as he would say, I don't know if people can see us, but he would go.
Yeah, they can. They will see us.
Yeah. He would go, remember, schools first. Football hold up his number 2.
I love that. That's really good.
But with D3, like it is very like school oriented. And like I played in playoffs, like I played against kids that went pro. And there
any names you want to give a shout out there? Do you remember the names? You seem to have a faulty memory.
Receiver, and he ended up playing for Panthers and New Orleans.
Amazing.
Small stint in the NFL. Yeah, there's a good amount of talent that can come from D3, but there's definitely the ranking of schools are like we would play Johns Hopkins, and so you have like academically focused.
Yeah.
And then you have schools that are not, and those schools that are not typically were like the ones that were doing really well in college world playoffs. And so it's like odd or more of an anomaly for us to end up doing well because we were so focused on the academics of the students and athletics. And those other schools would have a lot of D1 transfers. Like I covered a kid that went transfer from Oregon. So it was like athletically different, but it's really great to see how well the school is doing now. But as far as like relationship, I had great relations with guys on the team. I was really lucky, really fortunate with, especially the upperclassmen, and then one more, all really close. And so it was just really special to do that and have that success because we pushed each other so hard in practice so that when time came for a game, we were united and usually crush teams.
That's incredible. Yeah, I look back at my time in college with nothing but smiles and fun memories. I was not a good enough athlete to play D1, but the academics is like essential because most of the players, probably why your coach was saying that and then joking about it, is like you can have actually both, but you need the academics for sure. Because I don't know, I'm sure some people had an injury or something happened personally that they can't play football anymore. And then what? Some of the guys that I've been interviewing, this guy Leo Savetti played professional basketball, wanted to play in the NBA, didn't get that look, unfortunately. But I feel like now he's the absolute star coach. He's a trainer. I call him the underdog coach. But anyway, many of these players get sent to, like in his case, overseas in Bosnia for like years and all over the world. And the money, the endorsements, the like proximity to, like, let's say your hometown or the kind of places you would like to play pro, you're thousands of miles away from that. And a lot of these guys, you probably know, like lacrosse this is true. I don't know how much it is in soccer, but I'm sure the development leagues for soccer for the MLS have this. The tennis players, if you're not in the top 100 tennis player, like it's not gonna happen. I don't want to say it like that. It can happen and it does happen, but my point is it's a struggle, right? If you're not a top 20 tennis player, wait till you come back home. What I was saying is that the top 20 tennis players, they have the Nike endorsements and the head and all that stuff. But if you're in the top 500, you're like, you need to do like a GoFundMe to go to these tournaments because it's very expensive. And so I think your coach was very wise to say, I can see, I've always known that you're so amazing, but you also you took your studies seriously and you were good at math too, right? Wasn't that your thing?
Yeah. I thought I was going to be a math major. And then my roommate of 3 years, he goes, dude, you should try to make money. He just started the finance program and started that. And that was like right before the recession of 2008.
Yeah, exactly. That was the summer I came back. I don't know if you remember. So that, because we're in the same year, right? So we graduated in 2010, which meant sophomore year, junior year, we're looking for internships kind of thing. like a job that would not just be landscaping is great, but to get a little bit of a professional experience leading up to graduation is really important. And no one was hiring then. In 2009, we're like, every bank is very ill, like sick. They're sick. Basically, they've got busted balance sheets, at least in the US. I worked for a Japanese bank that didn't have that because they didn't get involved in mortgages and stuff. But in any case, I wanted to talk also about that. So because that's similar in a way to my experience where all my fraternity brothers, the thing I wanted to say earlier is I didn't have the sport thing, but I did have the fraternity, which for me was maybe a lot of the same kind of connection, like the community, the brotherhood, the people 3 years older that are going to guide and maybe just give you a sample resume and then look at yours and help you prepare for an interview at whatever bank. And that was really big. I would not like underestimate for my life how much that helped. And to this day, a lot of those people are very close to me. So you were then, sounds like you were one of the first students then to study finance.
Yeah, we were the second year. And I don't know, I've always felt like I don't know what the right word is, but going into football in high school, felt like, oh, I need to prove myself. Going into college, I need to prove myself. I'm going to do this. I always had like lofty high goals for myself. And I was like, I'm going to be captain, or conference, whatever. And then going
whatever. Let's pause on that. I'm going to give you a virtual pound. All conference, whatever. Let's go. You got to wear your rings.
All right. So my one claim to fame. I know this is
yes. No, yeah. I want you to gloat because there's the thing. There's going to be kids that are going to be inspired by your stories. It's not even really about you. It's the fact that there's going to be kids listening to this that are going to be like, oh, the underdog. This guy's he's so strong. He's such a good athlete. I have to mute him on Instagram sometimes because I get emasculated because he's so great. So yes, let's do a little gloat session for a second. And I'll tease it out of you. Let's hear it.
Going undefeated.
I love that you said that. Quickly interrupt. That's a team thing that you just said, which I love that.
Yeah,
right.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So I only played 5 games my senior year. Could hurt my hamstring. And listen, there are way better players in school's history than me. But I'm the first one to go all conference, freshman, sophomore, junior year.
Amazing. That's unbelievable.
Done it. But
yeah, but this is the Roger Bannister thing, isn't it?
Yeah, then they saw me.
Yeah, no, seriously. Everyone is built on the shoulders of giants. See what I'm saying? Like, who are your role model athletes? So obviously your dad and your family's like stellar athletes, but would love to know, like, when I say that to you, who comes to mind is the kind of people that were like, if you had to, let's say, visualize the kind of player you wanted to be, is there anyone that comes to mind?
When I was playing, I loved Champ Bailey. He was on the Broncos at the time. Jim Thorpe. So this is like 30s or 40s. He was the first American Indian to play, I think, American football. He was also like an Olympic gold medal winner in track and field.
Incredible.
Yeah. So continuing from what I was saying about being the underdog is that. So I interviewed at UBS, United Bank, for a role to be on a wealth management team, and the interviewer goes, "Oh, listen, I wasn't the best student. I cared about school. I was like, oh, I'm just going to do what I need to get by and like do well."
I think, by the way, I think a lot of people that are not the best students, I actually think are sometimes the best people. So I'll just say that. I really do, because you work hard. You're engaged, but you didn't lose the forest from the trees. So not the best student, but you're going to apply for a job around the same time that I was on Wall Street, which is not a lot of people are hiring. These banks are not really crushing it. So you get this interview, and then what happens?
And she goes, so why should I hire you when I'm also interviewing somebody that played lacrosse in college and they got a 3.7 when you only got a 3.3?
Are you serious?
What kind of, how was it? I don't know. Maybe I did it better organically or did other things outside of just like football and schoolwork. Anyway, so what happened was a month later, 2 months later, like that was not schoolwork. I applied for a different role at UBS. I get it. She's there. A year later, she leaves. I like move up and get all my licenses, and then I end up working and I got recruited to work for this team called Trinity Partners, and they have, since the Barons, they do like ranking of like top wealth management teams in the country, 100 teams. They've continually been in the top 10 in the nation.
Wow!
So like that was like
that's amazing.
Finger to her, even though she never even realized it. And I was like, listen, I'm being recruited to go work for this team, one of the best teams in the country, and you thought that I wasn't good enough when I first interviewed.
I love
like a
that
really
story.
proud moment for myself.
As I said in my intro, I've been loving seeing now you have a platform, right? You've got hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers. We'll hook up your Instagram handle and all your social stuff in the show notes, and people can get in contact with you at a minimum, follow you because you do a lot of cool stuff. But you also post about mental health, specifically for men. It sounds like you were doing men's circles, and one of your previous jobs was really leaning on you to be like a captain for that project in some ways. Want to hear what got you into that? What kept you in it? How did you become a leader within that world? And how is it, what's the message you want to share around it?
Yeah. So I started this thing called Mind and Muscle. I started July. How it started was I was always very, like I said, pretty introverted and we closed off that emotional wall. And so I was down in Austin, Texas, and went to this event. It was called Guy Talk Co. Guy Talk. And it was, say, 50 guys. We're all in a circle. And then there's like the leaders. And it was Calvin, Will, Grant, John. And what happened was they just started like being really vulnerable and open and sharing.
Mhm.
And I was like, and everyone was like all about it and like supporting them.
Yeah.
The first time that I had been in a scenario with guys that were being vulnerable and other guys were supporting that. And I was like, how? And so I was like, how cool is that? So I ended up joining like Guy Talk. So this is October 19th. We go right into the pandemic. And so this is like a way to us all virtually connect, go to small break rooms and like chat, whatever. And I really loved it. Like, was all about it. That ended up going away. So the following year, I reached out to our founder and was like, hey, I'm going to get these guys together. We're going to do a workout. And then we're going to go down to the store at Roan before I start working there. And we want to hold like a chat, just a space for guys to open up as much as they want. It was like a life-changing moment to see guys open up and also allow myself to open up to strangers as well. And also guys I was friends with, but never really broached these subjects with.
Right.
And I still assist Roan with helping run these mind and muscle events because I'm so passionate about it. But at Roan, we did dozens of them. And I led almost all of them, and I got to travel the country and do them. It was just cool to see everyone that comes in, every time it happens, I'm like, are guys really going to care about this? Will they open up? Will they leave here with a positive experience? And every single time, guys love it, want to do more of it, open up. And it's always just such a great experience. So it starts off with the muscle portion, which is like some movement component. The first one we did, it was such a hard workout. The guys throw up. So I've actually now had it. So my fiance has done something.
Love that.
And it's really just to create a safe space and allow people to realize, hey, I'm going to do some shit like someone else is actually going to maybe the exact same thing. So it starts with the muscle part of the mind and muscle, where it's a movement component. You breath, run, whatever. That helps lower the emotional wall of that discussion. What's your name? Where are you from? What's a hobby? Or if you could have one superpower, or what's a book? If you were to write a book, what would it be called? Are good questions. And then it goes into something a little more serious. And the best one, and I've used this twice, is what is your biggest fear?
Wow. That's so great.
I would say, people ask me about like sharks, but what's my real fear? My real fear is failing. And so for me now, I can get married next year. So it's like failing as a husband, father, in whatever way that is. Failing, like I've always been scared of failing and like being the underdog, but like not being able to prove my worth. So like I always had to work really hard to make up for that with football or my career.
Right.
So just to see guys, that's the mind portion, is like to see guys really come out and open up and share and be vulnerable and want to do this alone has been really had a profound effect on me, and it's something I'm still very passionate about. And it's just cool is like a really poor choice for it.
No, it's not. If that word is going to help get more guys in the door, then let's just say it's cool, because it is cool. It is cool. And I think our world needs it. So that's amazing. Where can people find out more about that and also get in contact with you?
Probably to my Instagram is the easiest thing. It's just my first and last name, Cameron Ahouse. I've just found social media yes, there's a ton of negative things. There's a negative things like on fitness, on politics, on food, whatever it is. But I think the pros far outweigh the cons, and the community, the people that you get to interact with, and especially if you get to meet them in person. Strong community, whether it's fitness focused, whatever you're interested in. There's always going to be the trolls and the haters.
Quickly about my biggest fear is not taking the risk, not doing the thing I thought I wanted to do. not leaving like a legacy that I can be proud of. Not talking to the person that looks really nice and maybe you could help them cross the street or something. That's the thing. My biggest fear. It's on my wall real quick. Be the change you wish to see. I think that would resonate with you probably. But for me, when I wrote that down at the beginning of the year after New Year's, that's kicked off this project. I agree with you. There's always good and bad, the good and evil. There's always vice and virtue. There's always the kind of the dark side of any place in society, any organization, any school, any community, any family. There's always that. Where you headed to?
I'm actually going to get a massage.
Men out there, if you get in a men's group, buy yourself a massage because that's a cool thing to do. So great seeing you, Isaac. A lot of fun. Thank you. I appreciate you.